Welcome everybody, this is Denny with my YouTube channel, Why Is This True? And joining me again today is Karl Mollison with teamarchangel.com. And Karl and I are going to continue with the channeling series that we've been working on, where we're contacting people who are involved in exposing, for lack of a better term, the alien agenda, cover-ups, that kind of thing, UFOs, and contact experiences. So today we're going to ask Karl to channel a woman by the name of Barbara Bartholic. And she wrote a book a long time ago. I think it was in the 90s. Came out in the 90s. And here's the book here. And it's called Barbara, the Story of a UFO Investigator. And she worked closely with Jacques Vallee. They invested a lot of cattle mutilation cases in the American Southeast, and she's from Oklahoma. She lived in Oklahoma, and her research began with hosting the Heaven's Gate people before they were Heaven's Gate, and she went on to work with 7 years with Jacques Vallee, and Jacques Vallee was portrayed as the French scientist in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and they traveled around the U.S. and around the world researching cattle mutilations, UFO sightings, and especially abductions. And she also worked closely with Eve Lorgan, who I've interviewed, and also Dr. Karla Turner, who's passed on. So, Karl, thanks for joining me again today. I want to give you an opportunity to bring up anything that's been going on with you for our listeners, and then we'll get started.
Okay, thank you, Denny. I'm delighted to be here, and this is quite important work because there's much to be done to bring forward true information about what is really going on in the world. This is a very complex, multi-layered drama that's playing out. Everyone sees it in a different way. Everyone's living in a somewhat different reality. They have their political biases, and that's the world they live in. They're human, and they don't see the divine. They are manipulated relentlessly by extraterrestrial forces and dark spirits, and they have no conscious awareness whatsoever that that's been going on their entire lifetimes. So things need to change, and that is really what the shift in consciousness is all about. This has been talked about for many, many years in the spiritual community, but few people in the spiritual community realize that the path back to a higher place is a return to the divine and making a connection to the divine, the creator of all it is. And it's urgently needed because we are being relentlessly manipulated, both by dark spirits and extraterrestrials, multiple extraterrestrial races among us who are controlling the reins. They control all our institutions, and they control us with mind control. So the early researchers who nosed into these things were responding to human plight, to human need, as people would come forward bruised and battered, emotionally shattered, who've had encounters and the memories are emerging. And the same is true in people recruited into the secret space program who have come forward, who have disquieting memories of things that took place. And they're trying to make sense of it. They have all been manipulated. And there is a great urgency, a great need, and much disinformation. And this is the especially troubling aspect of this all. There's not a place to go and get truth about things because so many people are given false information. It's implanted subliminally through direct subconscious mind programming. It comes from a variety of sources. There's mostly blinders, so people don't see the deep issues and the deep underpinnings of things. They take it just so far and they think, well, that's it. That's the story. Okay, there's ETs. It's got to be a good thing. They're advanced. They'll know what to do, and they're going to be our friend, and they've probably evolved well past stages where they'd ever think of warfare and so on. These are all naive notions. And I'm sorry to be telling this, but we are in danger from these beings. They want our planet. They want us gone. It's really that simple. They use various means to control and manipulate, and they exploit us in various ways. Some of it is fun for them. but they are in earnest. And the only thing that's put a finger in the dike, so to speak, has been Creator, to not let them take over. Creator's waiting for us to go back and rejoin the ranks of the divine warriors and to put our inner divinity back into that focus that we need to be looking upward and we need to reconnect with all that is in the holiest realm. That is our origin. We're extensions of Creator. So that doesn't apply, oh yeah, we can just adopt secular humanism and we don't need a God anymore. We can do it all. We know how to do this. Well, look around you. How is that working out? Look at all the human institutions. Nothing is working. They're all flawed, faulty, and cause as many problems as they solve. So we need to reconnect with that divine perspective, and it's really who we are. That's the tragedy and the irony of this. You know, it's not that we're these lowly, evolved biological organisms that came up out of the ooze. And oh yeah, there's a God up there, but you know, maybe it's not a good God. Maybe it's a judging, punishing God, and we got to watch out. And or maybe since we're kind of on our own anyway, and God never shows up, we don't even need to think about that, and we got to figure this all out ourselves. Well, none of that is so. We are extensions of source energy, and we're in charge here. That's the goofy thing about this whole enterprise. We're in charge of the planet, and God is watching. God is in us, partnering with us in many ways, but subtly below the scene. And we have a responsibility for everything that we do, and it will affect all of our future. So every day there's choices. Are you going to do this or are you going to do that? Every moment there's a choice in front of you, how to spend your time and what to turn to and how to dedicate your life. So I'm here to add my voice and my perspective to things based on thousands of channeling sessions with beings in the light, including Creator, and having worked with many, many people with all sorts of difficulties, and many who have been manipulated by ETs, and members of the secret space programs who are recovering from things that were done to alter them. So I know quite a lot about this. And one of the other aspects, sadly, is that every segment of the communities most focused on these issues and seemingly enlightened are being undermined as well and manipulated and given false information. Most channelers aren't channeling who they think. More than 90% of channelers have been co-opted. They're talking to an Anunnaki psychic who comes in and pretends to be an archangel or some other divine figure or whomever they're trying to contact. So this creates huge problems because they'll tell you lots of things that are true. So much of the information out there is true up to a point, but there's always a limit. You can't go past that limit. And that's the tragedy of it. So the spiritual folks are encouraged to meditate and manifest and raise yourself up and work on your vibration and so on. Okay, that's all well and good. But they're not bringing God into the picture at all. And there's a reason for that. Their minds are closed. They won't go there. They think, well, that's an old notion and we don't really need that sort of focus. You know, we can do this ourselves with our inner energy and the power of our consciousness and so on. And there's a lot of things we can do. I mean, they're correct up to that level, yes, but they don't go beyond that level. And the same is true in the disclosure movement. It's focused on an expectation someone's going to save us. Benevolent ETs are going to swoop in. The government programs are going to come out of the closet and it will have been seen to be a very useful thing and it's going to be helpful and we've been benefiting all along and now it'll just get better. And all of these perspectives are flawed because the ETs are very much in control. And if we don't do something different, and bring in divine help, we're going to be in worse shape. So they're tolerating our spiritual fledgling status. They don't like it. They're afraid of it. That is our true way to safety. We have to get back in touch with the divine. And it's not complicated. It's just reaching out very simply.
Right.
In whatever way you're comfortable. Close your eyes. God, come and help us, raise us up, protect, guide, heal, and support us, and move us to a better place.
Right.
Help the ones who are out of alignment, who are coming into our realm and wanting harm for us. Raise them up too. That's it. If we all did that and meant it, everything would shift. I've been told this many times. But that's nowhere close to happening right now because most people are still asleep and they're focused on technological solutions, prosaic human solutions. Oh, we just got to get the right people in government, who are more open, and then they'll have the truth and things will be better.
Right.
So that's my piece. I do a lot of spirit releasement work on people. They're the reason humanity is in such a mess. Spirit attachments are almost universal, and they've influenced the ETs. They are the reason the ETs in our sphere are dark. They have been corrupted by dark spirits. This is their dilemma. We're in this together in an ironic way.
Yeah. Right.
So we need to get rid of those. So I do spirit releasement work. I help transition people to the light who get stuck earthbound. 1 out of 3 people don't get to the light readily. So this is a huge problem.
Right.
But this starts early with spirit predation. They go after infants and children, and then they cause all kinds of problems in the person. That's where bullies come from. That's where criminals come from. That's where people...
Politicians come from.
What's that?
Politicians.
The ultimate
sociopath.
Exactly. The narcissistic personalities, sociopathic individuals, that's the closing down of the connection to the higher self.
Right.
So you're cut off from your conscience, you're cut off from the flow of love, you can't feel love and compassion for others. So you're just a self-serving animal with your animal needs, and everything seems justifiable.
Right.
That's where these people come from, and it's a corruption and intercorruption that's happened.
Okay, well, with that, I'm going to move us on here, and I want to point out that before we do these channeling sessions, I check in with Karl. We have a running list of many people that are known, many people that aren't known. I think a lot of people do know about Barbara, but when I made an inquiry with Karl before his class that he had last weekend. About Barbara and Dr. Karla Turner. And Dr. Karla Turner had a successful transition to the light, and Barbara did not. And so Karl performed what they call a spirit rescue. So now we can actually do a channeling session with the light being who was incarnated as Barbara Bartholic. I get, if you're ready to start, we'll start. If there's anything else you want to say about that, please do, and then we'll get started.
The only thing I guess I would really want to emphasize, I perhaps left out in my tale of woe, is that these are solvable problems. They really are. Spirits can be dealt with. If we ask for divine help, and we know how to go about that, they need requests from the human side to do that work.
And you're teaching people how to do that. You just recently had a class. Was it 13 students there?
Yes.
And I don't know how much you want to talk about that, but I just want to plug the fact that this is something that you're doing now. I don't know how frequently you're going to be doing it, but this is tremendously good news that there's more people out there now that can do what you can do. Because you're busy, you're almost at the point of turning people away, or you are turning people away just because you're so busy. And so the logical answer is to have more people that you can refer inquiries to, where you know that they're going to be doing what you do correctly.
Yeah. I have put together what I call the Lightworker healing protocol, and it enables a person, anyone, to work with Creator and do spirit releasement, to remove attachments, to clear a location, to rescue an earthbound spirit, and to do the same for animals. The nucleus of all the steps applies to each of those circumstances. It's basically healing, and some very advanced healing, novel ways of healing that I've been taught by the light.
Okay.
To make this as robust and thorough and comprehensive as possible.
And this was a successful class. I mean, we have a mutual friend who had an experience where he was actually able to do what you taught him how to do during the class.
Yes.
And that's the report I got. He's written an article about it. It's going to be where the tentative plan right now is to do some edits on it, and then it's going to get published on my website wiseistrue.com, and I'll alert people who follow us that when that's up so they can read it. And this is basically a first-hand account of someone who took your class and then it was able to successfully apply the teaching, not weeks later, not months later, but during the class. This is what happened.
Yes.
So this is no small thing. I mean, a lot of people will spend years learning what you're teaching, and only years after they've started learning are they actually successful in that regard. Now, I don't know if I'm exaggerating here, but that's been kind of my experience with the limited amount of exposure I've had to this subject.
Well, this is a good case in point, and so let me just respond to that a little bit, because people can work under their own steam and their own power. Most psychics do that. They use their own intuitive ability and their own perceptions and devise their own ways, and they learn from one another and so on. If you go through Creator to do that, you'll do better. It'll be more powerful. It'll be quicker. It'll be more certain. You'll see more. You'll have a greater reach. That was my experience. I started out under my own steam doing remote spirit releasement and some other things. And when I started working with Creator to do it, it got better right away. It turbocharged everything. Right. So that's an example. I can take people who've never done anything like this, put them through a weekend training, and help them make a connection to Creator and make something happen that's real and significant and helps the whole of the human collective, because we're all in this together. We're all interconnected. Right. So it's that simple. This doesn't require high technology.
Right.
And I've been told,
or years of study.
Or years of study.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's because of who we are.
Right.
We are already created to be in this mode. We've just been manipulated to believe we can't.
Right.
And we've been disconnected from above and below in various ways. So it's a handicap.
Right.
But the main thing is to request help. Whether you see it intuitively or not, as an advanced psychic medium might, doesn't matter.
Right.
That's not relevant to the exercise. If you know what you need to do and you ask the divine realm for assistance, chances are it will happen. And it doesn't matter if you see God in your mind's eye or you don't.
Okay.
So there's answers here. That's the beautiful thing about this.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad we talked about that, because people should know about what you're doing. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead, in the interest of time, which we don't have much of today, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and get started with the channeling session with Barbara Bartholic.
This is Barbara Bartholic speaking.
Hello, Barbara. Thank you for joining us. Was your death due to natural causes, or would it be more accurate to say that you were murdered? If it was murder, was it at the hands of the reptilian aliens? My death was not a consequence of natural
causes or a sequence of events leading to frailty and being undermined then by physical problems that were natural. This was orchestrated entirely from first to last from the extraterrestrial and their grip on government agents and clandestine organizations wanting a tighter control of all of human affairs. They saw me as a threat and they took me out. It is that simple. This does happen to a number of such individuals who rise to prominence and threaten to become too visible and authority to talk about their dark doings. This is a self-protective mechanism they employ on a regular basis. There are many whistleblowers, workers for the light, and would-be saviors and champions of the human cause who are neutralized in this way. Mine was no different.
Can you explain the situation regarding your unsuccessful transition upon your death? Did this experience involve the alien agenda for humankind?
This is a quite unfortunate problem to be discussing, for we do not wish people to fear their death, to fear what might happen. All will go through this at one time or another. But yet, when asked directly, one is obligated to approach the response with some forthrightness and due regard for the genuine seeking of knowledge. And so we also understand it serves the cause to show the reach they have and the depravity behind many of their workings. So in our case, they were poised to swoop in with dark angelic minions orchestrated through the Anunnaki spirits who are out and about. The Anunnaki were the first interlopers on the scene many thousands of years ago and controlled all of society for a great length of time. They are still present and they will return in numbers. And in the meantime, send legions of spirits of deceased Anunnaki who deploy the dark spirits associated with the fallen angelic realm to attack and to cause all manner of difficulty for the living and also those in transition. Such was the case for me. I was singled out for special attention to be attacked in this way and dragged down. This is another way they can extend their reach and maintain a grip on people to keep them neutralized. If they keep someone in limbo, unable to reach the light and incarnate for an extended period of time, it is very analogous to simply putting them in jail and taking them away from where they can be effective. So this was done to me and was quite an unpleasant affair. The great event was the rescue performed by your channel in coming to find me and raise me up by first removing those dark spirits. And then I was able to have calm for the first time since my passing. I was under relentless torment. and subjected to many kinds of coercive manipulations. This is a form of punishment they can inflict, and it also serves as a kind of conditioning, and of course is sport for them, as it is their mindset. When your channel came to save me and raise me up, there were a series of events in bringing in light and feelings of love and joy that grew to a level beyond description. And this is a quite meaningful thing to convey to you, that what your channel was saying before you started our interview was absolutely 100% accurate and true. There is a loving creator whose love is beyond measure, beyond description. It is the greatest of joys that can exist and far beyond anything experienced by a human being, no matter what heights they might reach with their life. If you think about this, human joy is often the contrast from a place of suffering and deprivation. And so the joy is about recovering from lack, becoming elevated from a state of being ordinary, and perhaps having an unfulfilled life and an unhappy life in many ways. The joy we are describing that goes beyond description is starting from that point where you are simply knowing all is possible. All is about love and joy. And it is the energy of the universe. There is love in everything. And when you are a light being, you draw love from everything around you. The flow is unreserved. It is bountiful, and it is there for all to enjoy. And the most beautiful part is that you never tire of divine love. You never become jaded. It is not like taking a drug, an opioid, for example, where the chemical sensations may be delightful, but over time will fade, requiring higher and higher doses, and eventually there will be little or no response at all. Divine love is unquenchable, inexhaustible, and beyond human comprehension. This is your birthright, and this is the way all need to be living, but are not. You are going through the growth phase, the learning phase, to become divine in the physical once again. And this will require lots of help. This is what I was doing. And the spirit rescue for me is a perfect example of the reach of human by partnering with the divine to make a miracle happen. This is the power each of you possess. And your channel in describing his recent course was an example of this, where each student accomplished the rescue of an earthbound loved one, people who were languishing, stuck in between planes and suffering enormously. They simply did this through reaching to Creator with the right words to make a definite request with intention for this to be, and it became so. All need to reach this level of awareness. So my early work was designed to bring things forward to raise the alarm and help people understand something sinister is taking place. I am so very grateful for my spirit rescue. It is the most magnificent of experiences. The contrast between where I am now and what I was experiencing in my time of torment is truly beyond description. And I owe this all to those faithful few who are working for humanity in a true way and doing the important work. This many more could do if they knew it were possible and made the choice.
Okay, thank you. What was the most significant aspect of your work with Jacques Vallee?